Hello, Tezos friends. Welcome back for Tezos Technical Analysis. And I think that the chat over the last few days has been pretty spot on, really. So let's just review how that's panned out and take a look at what we could be looking at for the next wee while. I'm going to try and keep this video quite short. Let's see how that works out for me. Okay, back in the charts, and we're looking at Tezos versus Bitcoin on the 24-hour Binance chart. Now, we had a really kind of one bit of chat about this over the last few days, which is here's your measured move from this triangle that we've been operating in. If and when we break out of it, don't anticipate the full measured move from happening. Instead, let's look to 2,442 Satoshis for where we'd find that bounce at, and that is exactly what happened. It's almost scary accurate. So nice to see technical analysis working for us here overall. And then where are we now? Well, we've come back up and we've retested this triangle area, you could say, and we're finding ourselves below it. I don't think we need to get particularly over analytical about this here. We can just stick in a couple of lines and say essentially what we're looking at is the bottom of this. If this was a descending triangle, same story. We looked at that same sort of story as well with the measured move. By the way, if you're curious. Then you could say something like that instead. And again, we'll not look for the full thing. We looked at this area anyway. Enough of that. We've come back in and around this area. Can we get back above it or not? That's what we're looking to. If not, then we've still got downside targets potentially in store for us. Now we've had a big old retracement back off the back of this. As you can see, the prices over the sort of yesterday's candle on the chart went down 20%, but really, it was more like 25. And then since then, we've seen prices come all the way up and retrace 35% upway. So we've seen this story across a few different assets over the last day. And that's what we're looking at here. Can we get above that? That's where we need to be, 3,000 Satoshis or so. We need to get above that, or else, what are we looking at? Well, then, of course, we're looking towards this area here where we've got this 55 moving average at. And that's where I would be looking at as my sort of range of the day. That's how I'd be managing my risk in and around those areas. It would be my profit taking and all that sort of lines. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice, but that's where we'll leave Bitcoin for now, because, of course, the implication that I'm saying, might as well want to say it, if we actually then open and close 4 candles below this area, then I'm putting my focus back over here towards 2,450 again. So we'll see how that pans out. Now let's go to the dollar prices and see how wonderful our technical analysis has or has not been working for us in terms of this thing. And we were looking and saying, could we get a turnaround here at the 786 if the prices were to drop down as far as that? Would we get supported here at this golden pocket area? If we didn't, then we're dropping down here to this area, and if we don't, then maybe on all the way down, who knows where it could end up. And we can see here that the prices potentially could be kind of, it's a bit of a stretch to say that it's the 786 here that's actually doing it, but if we just kind of move that, since the wick at the top side is such a nothing wick anyway, and then put it in here, then we can say, look, we're being supported by the 786 here. Maybe that's where we found it. Yeah, hella wick here on this thing, as a lot of money changed hands here between people with the fear and greed kicking in. Of course, those that were greedy as the prices were down here and pushed towards the upside and actually got into position. That was very canny of you. The $1 price mark on Coinbase was obviously a good place to have it in at, just purely off the back of the fact that it's $1. But if you were being greedy on the way down and looking at $1 coming to you and you were shorting this thing across any exchange, and you were staring $1 in the face and you decided not to take profit, then more fool you, because that's a very greedy thing to do. So a lot of fear and greed and everything in and around these wicks here. You can see the 786 acting as support. Same old sort of story here. We're looking to see if prices can actually maintain themselves above this area, and we can look towards these upper side targets. But the target really to have in mind, I think at this point, if we're going to be doing this Fibonacci stuff, would be to have the one going the other way. Now I think I might have one going the other way on the other chart. I'll do this one wick to wick. That's more or less accurate there. So in terms of this Fibonacci, just move it over again in case you can't really see it so well. This is what we're looking at here. Can we get above the 236 and actually start to look towards the upside? Well, that's at $1.70. So we need to see the prices open and close on the 4-hour chart above $1.70, or else, you know, we could very much easily revisit $1.37 or so, at which case we'll have that other question to ask and say, can this actually maintain itself as any degree of support, or will we just sink on down again towards these lower end targets? And of course, the first most obvious one then thereafter, when you include all this price action in the screen, is in around about that point of control area there at you know, $1.20, and then on down to the next level after that. Now we're going to keep looking across the differential between the exchanges, because we know that HitBTC and the other exchanges have had different prices recently. They're 6 cents different apart. 6 cents being quite a big difference in price, you know, in term and when you're looking at $1.59 for your asset in total. So if I just move that down 6 cents, you can see that's nearly 5% down, you know, just doing a tiny little measurement and just a tiny little thing. So we're talking in these fine margins, when you're using, especially when if you're using leverage to trade or whatever, you get big old differences in prices. Now, this is one of the better performing assets on the day, up 20%. Part of the reason for that, I suppose, partly is that it spent quite a long time yesterday very much suppressed, and then actually as the market was collapsing elsewhere, it was sort of showing its smiley face here, and not going too badly, not doing too badly, but having actually done quite badly beforehand, really. So, you know, and dropping down quite a bit. So we had quite a lot of room to the upside here for us, and so far we've been doing quite well. You can see we've made a sort of a higher high compared to that over there on this bottom, and let's see if this turns out to be a bottom formation or if it just turns out to be a dead cat bounce. The first step towards achieving that, of course, in terms of this early candle, was setting this high in here at $1.83. We can see the prices are currently that sort of $1.58 level, and we're looking to try and do that again, of course, and that would obviously ties back into the bigger picture stuff I was talking about a minute ago in terms of being on the way there. But that's just me looking at the 1 hour candle, and we're in and around the sort of the neutral zone here, and of this, can we break above it and sort of trend towards the upside? But we're going over to HitBTC, because HitBTC has been is this HitBTC? Yeah, has been what we've been looking at for the last wee while, and of course we had in terms of well, in terms of what's been going on. I'm going up to the 24-hour chart, sorry, that's what's confusing me there. So again, we had a sort of measured move type stuff off the back of this one. Now, in terms of the price action working precisely how we wanted it to, not so much on this one. We had hoped that if there was to be the measured move on this one, that it would stop there around that $1.64 area. But you can see that it actually continued to go on down past that, past this potential measured move area here. This is where we were looking at that being a potential for descending triangle of some sort, and using this sort of a measured move here. And it wasn't particularly, it wasn't that I was being the least generous on there. So anyway, you can see there, sticking that in there, that is that bit more than the measured move happened. Now it's hard to say, because I mean, measured move things are always a little bit silly. It actually depends on the dynamic between the potential here in terms of the psychology and the price point movements. But when you're looking at people having traded between $2.40 and $3.50, whenever the prices then were to sink down the way, where could they go? And to say that they would stop at any particular area is a bit much, really. But of course there is the $1, I suppose, again over here on this exchange, and because of the price differential, you could maybe say that 96 cents is $1 here, who knows. But we were looking towards these horizontal areas as well, that we had one there. Did we have a lower one? No, we didn't have a lower one. And then I suppose we kind of have to look back towards them again now to see will they operate as support if we need them to. So in here at that $1.20, will that operate as support if we need it to, or would we go on lower? And where the current price is here, will this actually operate as resistance in here in this area, in this zone where we can see that we've come up to and sometimes been above and then sometimes been resisted by? In this zone here, will we find resistance? So that's just, again, ties back over to the other one where we're looking at 158 for openings and closings above. I suppose this on this chart here, then it's the same sort of story, except that translates to 153 or so for us to open and close above and try and get above this 200 exponential moving average. Now, overall, we're just going to have to wait and see how this pans out. If this is going to be able to achieve any of these things that would indicate to us that we're going towards the upside yet again. And if we want to try and do something with a Fibonacci retracement then and go wick to wick, on this asset versus HitBTC, since this is where we've been having all this fun recently, then we can look towards this, and there you can see in the 236 in and around that area of the 150. What's 236? That is 155, 156. But it's right there where we were talking about a second ago. That's where we need to see the prices go up above, open and close above, so that we can actually look and say this is a valid Fibonacci retracement. We might be able to look towards the 382 and the 618 in terms of upside targets. Currently, we're not able to do that. That's just why I'm pointing that out in terms of the current area. Of course, as well, you've got the 233 there, but anywhere in and around this zone of $1.40 or so, you'll see the 200 simple moving average coming in there. Is it worth value wise worth doing it on say another chart like the Coinbase one here, and pointing that back out to us again? Well, we already have it in. Did I already even discuss it? I might have already discussed it. I apologize if I'm repeating myself now. I think I'm probably repeating myself here for this wick to wick retracement. Looking here to the 236, want to get up above 169 to look towards those higher targets. If not, then we're looking down towards the 786 here at $1.38. So they're all they're the levels. There's obviously a dynamic depending on what exchange you're basing it, you're trading off of, and I'd look between them for yourself, between all the things I was saying in this video, to try and pick my own risk management things. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, no, it's financial advice. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Of course, being up 19% today on the prices is better than a lot, or 20% depending on where you look, obviously. Of course, HitBTC is only up 15% because it's a weirdo, but compared to a lot of other assets in this field, that's really performing quite well. You're looking at Ethereum style bounces on that there, and that's obviously doing really well when you consider it's $125 and it was below, it was at $86 yesterday. So that's a really good comparison. Sort of it's performing very well in terms of saying this could be a bounce from a bottom, but really until we achieve those simple benchmarks I pointed out, that's not going to happen for just now. Well, that's not the case for just now. It could still happen, but we couldn't say it. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.